You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
What's up, everybody? This is Sean, the frontman from Differences, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather. And as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome vocalist Sean Todd of Differences. And spread out across Southern California, melodic hardcore quartet Differences was built from pain and loss while still being able to express power and growth through music and lyrical content. Differences will release their album entitled The Family Portrait independently on August 26th. Check out current singles Journalist and Body and their EP that was released in 2018 entitled Deaf Perception. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, you better go listen to this band right now because they have some bangers. I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that full-heartedly. They have some bangers. And trust me, I'm the one you need to come to. This is your number one source to listen to good bands. Not knocking anybody else that's out there. I'm just saying, hey, look. Yeah, just check these guys out. Sean, welcome to the podcast. How you doing, my man?
Thanks so much, John. Appreciate it. Glad to be here. Thank you so much for that phrase, man. I really, really appreciate it. Glad that people like our old work too.
I mean, honestly, dude, it captures my taste. And like when I was in high school listening to punk rock and hardcore stuff, and and thank you guys for staying true to that, because a lot of bands stray away from that and then they go off on their own tangent, and that's fine. That's what you want to do, but you guys are still staying true to that. How important is that?
Oh man, very. Like, it's very important that the band itself, we get to play what we like. I know it's as any band, of course, you want to make it to the top. And at some point you realize you may have to start sounding a bit, radio friendly or something, but for us, it's not about that. It's just about making art, man. So that's very important that we stick to what we like, hardcore, punk, all of the melodic stuff, what we're into. We try to stick to it as much as possible.
How important is it for you to write about topics that no one will talk about and stand behind those songs?
Man, it's very like the very music I listen to. I'm a big fan of songs about heartbreak and big fan of songs about love too and everything. But it's just the point where you have to realize you gotta talk about some real stuff, and that's okay. Like it's a lot of bands do. I'm not saying we're the only bands that does that. A lot of bands do, but just for the most part, we're just really stoked to have the opportunity to do something like that.
How excited are you guys to have these new singles, Journalist and Body, out at this time for this new album?
For these singles, man, we're really, really stoked. Like, again, talking about our old stuff, we're really proud of how we've grown in our art and everything. So, we feel like most times you write a song or album as an artist, you might feel like, it could have been better. I'm not really done. This is one of the few times we walked away being like, no, this is it. We're really happy and proud of this. So when each song comes out, we're counting on the clock, even though we have the files to listen to. We're like waiting for it to get on Spotify so we can listen to it ourselves. Yeah, we're really stoked for it.
So as much stuff as you guys talk about, is it difficult sometimes that you have to walk away and say, I can't do this? It mentally, physically just breaks you and you have to step away.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, when recording vocals for this, there was a lot of, give me a second. Okay, I'm ready,
Yeah.
Mentally too, writing, I would say this was the most I had to push myself writing wise, to really face myself, so yeah, but that was the beauty of it. Like it's a one time where honestly, I'm not somebody who will open up so openly, but to recognize that this is basically a journal or diary that everyone's going to read and listen to and react to. it still was very powerful because it is the power of the fact that people are like me. Like there's people out that go through the same things I go through, and the fact that we can bond over this and even they seek help over it, it's great.
Are we going to see more stuff like this from you to open up like a diary, man, or just we'll see what comes down the road?
Oh no, you'll definitely more. Like this is the goal. As much as I say, you know, I'm not open in this space, I definitely am, because the people I get to meet, the new fans, the old fans and friends and family we have now, to talk about these things and to have somebody come up to me and being like, that really hit me. That's something I'm going through right now. It feels great. Like I don't do this to try to act like I have all the answers. We don't do this to try to seem like we know everything. But just to let people know that, you know, you're just genuinely, you're not alone. Like, that's it. You're just not alone. And we may not have the solution, but at least you don't have to go through it alone. That's a start.
You just hit on something that I wish everybody would hit on, you know, and think about it this way. I know when you're growing up, and still today, you have bands that, man, that's affected your life, and you took songs that you've interpreted it in your own thing, and you're like, that's my jam and all that stuff, and it's helped you through tough times. But now you guys are on that hot seat. How does that feel when, you know, the tables are turned and somebody comes and tells you, man, you guys pulled me through a dark time that I thought I wouldn't be here?
It's beautiful, man. It is surreal, because it's the very moment of, like, with everything I gone through, didn't really picture myself being the person to help the next person with everything they're going through, you know. And so it is surreal. It's very humbling each time. We never try to, you know, downplay, like, oh, you know, that's cool, you know, they appreciate, like, it really is humbling every time somebody says my music, you know, our music has impacted them in some shape or form. It's just very humbling, and we really love it. That's what we strive for when creating this art.
How special is it to have a full-length album now in the Difference music library and still be able to carry on with your guys' music?
Man, it's huge, because it's, you know, we wrote EPs and all these other songs, and there's so many songs we leave on, like, the cutting floor that just don't make it. So it's always like, oh, maybe in the future we come back and release, like, we'll record the last EP and we'll have like 5 of the songs. We'll be like, oh, let's put it on the next one. And then we just never do. So to have one that we really got to just keep going, and we were just like, all right, we have like 11 songs. We were like, okay, I think we're good. Because we would go with 16, 17. We're like, oh, that's, you know, let's stop here. We're good. So it's beautiful, man. We're really excited, and, you know, we're already ready for what comes next too.
How's the fans' feedback been on these releases of these current singles, Sean? What's the feedback, man?
Man, starting with all the people that have supported us from the past, one thing that us as a band, me, Gene Ramirez, the guitar player, and Nick, the drummer, we sat down. One thing I'd said, and that we all agreed on, we were like, okay, we did our music the past, you know, but right now let's be angrier. let's just do angrier and a little faster. So with our old fans knowing what we bring and them hearing the new stuff we play it live, they're like, you know, the support, we know they support us and love us. We know they're honest with us. If they don't like it, they know they can say, like, you know, and we take no offense to it. But the overwhelming support they've given us has been crazy. And releasing the new video, Journalists, on Dreambound, you know, Dreambound is very, it has a type. Like, it does take a lot of genres, but you definitely has a type of music that audience is looking for, that personally I didn't feel like we would really fit. But to see the overwhelming love on the comments and everything, it's been like, all right, we have something special here. So I'm happy people like it.
This is crazy, folks. Like, the guy I heard on this album and these songs was like, what? This is the same guy I'm talking to now?
I think that's the worst part, is that this stuff is, it's hard. It's like we are a very serious topic band, but coming from a bunch of idiots. So it's kind of hard. Like, I know Gene a lot of time when I talk on stage has to reel me in, because he's like, it is the thing of, like, you know, don't undermine what you just said with, you know, dumb jokes, like, you know, so you got to take it seriously. But that's what it is. Like, I think one thing as a band too, and as a frontman, people take away from me, is that, yeah, the world is rough. Life is rough. No one's saying it's not. Like, it's difficult for each and every one of us with our own unique circumstances. But me personally, it's not even that I try to ignore it, but I try my best to still find, the funniness and light and just as much things as I can and bring it to other people. The music might sound depressing, but in real life, make sure that you try to leave with a smile at least, make sure you have a good time.
People are so easy now to get offended and get them just over the stupidest things. I'm just like, just enjoy life, because your 10 minutes is never guaranteed after this.
And to the point too, I think the band as a whole, like, we're at a point where with what we're writing, it can be controversial. And as you said, like, we don't say to people that may hate our music or hate what we're doing, we don't say, like, oh, who cares, not for you. Like, it's fine. Let them believe that. If they don't agree with what we're saying, that's fine. Let them not agree. We hope if they listen back to it later on, that maybe they can see the perspective and be like, okay, I can see where this, makes sense. But for now, we don't put that type of negative energy into people that we fully disagree with. We're just like, let it be,
Journalist was filmed by Ryan Lyons and your guys' guitarist, Gene Ramirez. How's working with those guys on this, man?
Woo, Ryan Lyons and Gene, the tag team duo. So Ryan is she is amazing, dude. She is so freaking amazing. Shout out to Ryan. This is Gene's baby. Like, this album itself is Gene's baby. Gene decided that in writing this process, we started writing this album. It's like the third or fourth time we've rewritten this whole album.
Jeez.
And at first, Gene was like, we started like the beginning, like 2019, 2020, beginning of the pandemic, we started. And Gene at one point, like 2021, was like, hey, I want to make this about my mom who passed when he was young.
Yeah.
So we were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it. So he's had a lot of creative vision, and Gene's visionary is off the charts. But to Gene and Ryan, Ryan does artwork. Shout out to her for her Instagram, 3X Stitch. Everybody follow her for amazing album artwork. All the merchandise, all the album artwork, anything like that is a lot of Gene's vision, but Ryan put the pen to it to make it happen. So all the shirts and everything you see, that's her going crazy. Like, she went absolutely crazy on it. So shout out to Ryan, and even bigger shout out, she does all this stuff. Our bass player BJ happens to be in Korea for this summer with his family. We had a show recently, and Ryan was like, "I'll play bass." We were like, "Do you play bass?" No, but she learned how to play bass for the show and absolutely killed it. So shout out to Ryan. She's the absolute best, dude.
Dude, you got the best of both worlds right there.
Man, for real. I told her, I was like, how do you feel? She was like, I want to do it again. I was like, we're going to start you a band. So any band, people looking for a band, I got to get Ryan on board. I'm going to get her out there.
All right, Sean, how difficult was that for you guys to have to keep writing this over and over, though? I mean, at some point, did you say, hey, look, man, these songs are just, they're good enough?
Not difficult at all. Again, like, we're local band from LA, we don't have anybody pressuring down our necks. Like, even if it was like, oh, you gotta get an album out, sure, we could have put some stuff out, but we have the luxury and blessing to be like, we will put it when we feel like extremely over the moon and happy about it. Because like you said, some of the songs we had before that are in our vault, they're pretty good. They're really solid songs. But Journalists, ironically enough, when we were rewriting everything and had a few songs we were trying to figure out where to go, when we wrote Journalists, we kind of had the light bulb of like, this is it. This is the feel of the album. We really want the album to feel like this energy. And we went from there with writing and redoing everything. So, and shout out to some of the old members. Right now, it's me, Gene Ramirez, Nicholas Miller, BJ for bass. But shout out to Jordan Damasco, Marcos, who are old guitar players who helped us with the writing process before they left. We found it with Journalists. Journalists was supposed to be the main single we put out, but then we fell in love with Body. We put Body out first, and now Journalists. But that's the feel. We were like, this is the feel we want. So everything else we'll come back to later, but let's write around this type of theme.
Did the band add anything differently on this album musically than what fans are going to be accustomed to, that you think?
Yes, in many layers. Me personally, this is the most proud I ever felt vocally. I really feel like I've nailed what my voice is on this one, to the point of, you listen to Journalists, I never did like lows before. I always kind of stayed in one, like my kind of talking, screaming, yelling area, but I feel good sonically with pitch and the octaves I'm at with screaming, that's different for me. Different, you could tell the formula for old Differences stuff was after a while you can know how the song was gonna go.
Mhm.
But now we've changed it. Some songs don't have choruses. We just go. Sometimes we're just in there, we're just moving. So definitely, I definitely think people will feel the difference. Every time we say something with different in it, we kind of get that little like, oh, and it's like, yeah. we do it too. It's like, oh, they get it. It's really annoying. But they will feel the difference of this album compared to other albums.
So after the 2018 EP, do you feel the Family Portrait album has to come out swinging for the band after this, or no?
Most definitely, because of and not to downplay anything we've done before. Shout out to Jeff Salhoon for Let Live, the band Let Live. The guitarist, he was the guitarist for that band. We met with him and he helped us record that one. And that progressed us like far. We just learned so much from him. So with this, everything we've learned as a band and making this album and putting it into, we only feel so confident into it because of what we put into it, right? Like, even on a sense, we have some numbers of like, oh, we would, the goal is to hit this numbers. That comes with promotions like that. But even so, the biggest goal we had on ourselves, we completed. Once we got those final masters back, we were like, yeah, we did it. This was what we set out to do musically and creatively. We did. So most of those goals we wanted to meet, we've already met internally. Now it's just other things like merchandise, shirt ideas, some other content ideas that we want to meet. But most definitely, we're on our way. Yeah, we feel like the album's going to come out swinging in the way we would like it to.
What led the track Body to be the first song released off this album? What was it about that said, no, that's got to go out first before Journalist?
Honestly, one thing that goes into it, the biggest little curtain behind the curtains for our writing process for this one thing we've noticed for every single song we put out, live, we would kill it. But then when we had a lot of people that their friends would tell them like, oh, this is band Differences. Yeah, check it out. And they'll listen to our music and they'll be like, oh, this is cool. And then they come see us live and they're like, okay. And then they go back and listen. They're like, all right. So live, the energy we have live was really upbringing the music and like just a whole other level. But it wasn't really translating when you would listen to it on just headphones. So what the goal was basically, how can we translate so there's no disconnect in between? The same punch you would feel live, you feel on the album and everything. That was a huge goal for us. And we feel, that was the main goal, like kind of the main goal.
I know you mentioned earlier about Journalists being about Gene's mother, who was diagnosed with breast cancer at a young age for him, at the age of 8 when he saw this going on with his mom. Man, that's difficult for somebody at that young of age to know what's going on. But for him to put pen to paper and into words lyrically, how difficult was that for him that you see him go through? Did you see any of this, and did he have to step back on it? Because man, this is like torture for somebody to have to go back and relive this again.
And if he watches this, he'll probably realize, and I'll talk to him about it later. But there was points where it was me and him recording vocals. We went to like a self-made kind of studio where you record yourself, and we would do it. When I would need to take breaks, he would record his parts. And I think when I heard him recording, I wouldn't go back in to help. I kind of figured I should let him do that because he probably wants to, push that through. But it's rough. I just want to say, I have an immense love for Gene. Like I love that person so much. And it's to the point where there is the things you go through, you should not be one of the sweetest, most humble and giving and caring people like the way he is. The things they have been through, most people come out of that, a little bitter, and for good reason. Like, you can't blame them. Like, it's hard. It's hard to go through life caring for others so much when so much has been taken from you and life has been on you so much. I don't mean to pity party on him. I don't want him to feel like that, you know. But
Right.
generally, like it's just he is absolutely amazing. And it was no question when he was like, I want to write this for my mommy. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm not gonna say no. No way would I say no. Let's do it. Let's get to it. So shout out to Gene for real. Yeah.
Yeah, and I meant that in the most respectfully way.
Of course.
You know, when somebody talks about that, that's man, that takes a strong soul to do that. To go back and write something like that. So kudos for you, Gene, and moving on, man. That's hard to do. But shout out to you, my friend. I haven't met you, but shout out to you. All right, Sean, was there a track for the album that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to?
Not quite. I will say, again, I was raised, you know, classical piano, organ. I taught myself guitar and bass and just music theory family. Me and the drummer Nicholas Miller, music theory families. We're talking music theory back and forth with writing. Gene is just like, I don't know, man, it sounds good. I'm just gonna do it, you know? So there's a lot of times where songs, some of our best songs, he would come with me with, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. I don't know if I like it. He's like, no, just trust me. I'm like, all right. So honestly, there's a track, Elephants, that's gonna come out. I could not stand Elephants when I first heard it. I was like, I don't like it. I'm not in there. And Nick was like, it's okay, we should give it a shot. And Gene was like, no, we should do it. I was like, no, I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. To the booth, I was complaining, writing the lyrics, like, I don't like this. It doesn't make sense. I hate what I wrote lyrically. And we got to the booth. I record all of it. I'm like, I don't get it. Got those masters back. And I was like, hey man, look, I'm so sorry. I finally get it. It's my favorite song of the whole thing. It's not like it's one of my favorite songs of the whole CD. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, man. I'm sorry I doubted you. And he was like, I know. He just ignored me. He was like, yeah, this is why I just ignored you. Kept forced you to do it anyway, you know? So I would say changed. There's not much change. Like there's some songs that did make it from the early writing process. But I will say for everybody else, like Elephants, for everybody that listens to this, just know if you like Elephants that I was the biggest hater of it. No one hated that song more than me. If you're like, I don't like this song, trust me, you didn't like it not like it more than I did. But now I'm the biggest fan of it. So
any songs that did not make this album, we could see on another album, EP, or just a standalone single down the road, possibly.
That's a tricky one because we're realizing that unless it fits thematically what the next album is, which I already have an idea of what the next album thematically will be, and Gene has his and Nick has his, and we'll come together and talk about it. Unless it fits that theme, I would probably say probably not, because it's by the time we fully start diving into that, which we have some stuff pre-prod and kind of going, but the headspace we'll be in might be totally different. So
yeah,
I don't know, but if it ever does, next time I get to talk to you, I'll definitely be like, hey, remember when you asked that last question? It's this one. This one made it. So I'll let you know, man.
What about the track listing placement? Is it important for your guys' albums and EP releases?
Yes, very much so. I had my idea, and then we went to Nick's house one time to talk about some stuff, and they were like, oh yeah, me and Nick, Gene was like, me and Nick went over the track listing, and I was like, I didn't get a say in it, but it didn't matter because Day Zero was first, and that's all I care for. I just was like, yeah, we got to have this one song there, Day Zero, that has to be first. Everything else, stuff like this, and we've been together so long, I trust my band's judgment. They know there is nothing they could fully do to go behind my back because I trust that they have my best interests at heart. Like these are my brothers. These are for real. Like they are just family. So in that moment, I was like, I didn't get a say, but I was like, yeah, man. I was like, what's first? They're like, Day Zero. I was like, all right, we're good. I don't care. Do whatever you want. It's fine.
Man, what's it mean to you to have this much collaborative effort from everybody in this band, from every song to song? Because that takes a lot of pressure off you, and especially Gene bouncing stuff off each other.
Man, it's huge. We joke all the time, but I wouldn't be in a band if it wasn't for these people. Like when Gene first joined early on, and then we got the other members, it just worked. We have been blessed from like 2015 on when we first started doing this, that every person we got really did fit. And it was never a problem of like, this is going to work. So I've been blessed to do this with my friends. So that collaboration is huge. And especially since we're all on the same page of what we like, even to different things. Gene has his, his taste in hardcore. So does BJ, his taste in hardcore. Me and Nick are more on the like post-hardcore melodic side with, big choruses and singing. But we still intersect at a good point of like, no, we really like these bands and we want to, make it work here. So it's been the easiest thing.
What's that nucleus though that keeps this band moving right along and still being able to create your guys' music, man? What's that nucleus?
The memes. I was gonna say actually the memes and everything, the jokes, the idiocracy, the nucleus. Honestly, it's us. We want to do this for each other. We talked about this, but the moment, I mean, this is like insider talk and everything like that. But genuinely, the moment Nick steps away or Gene's like I gotta step away or I'm like I can't do it anymore, I think the band is done. I mean, we as individual we would want each other to keep going and pursue it and to make it, but it's just hard. Like it's hard. It's really hard. So it's just each other. It's our love for each other. What we bring is what makes differences, and that's the reason behind the name. It's the fact that all of us, as as a whole human race, it's not about us having to be the same or agree upon the same things. Like we're different, but that's what connects us, and that's what keeps things together sometimes, So that's for the band too. That differences because, I mean, it's cliche, but because of us and just because of what we bring in our image of it. Yeah.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to this upcoming new album, Sean, or just any of Differences music in general, man? What do you hope to get from it?
I mentioned it a few times, and I say it a lot too. One of the main things is it's not hard, but the last thing I want to do is get up there and sound preachy. The last thing I want to do is get up there and try to act like, oh, you need to be perfect, because that's not what it is. We talk about these hard-hitting topics because that's what humanity is about. We're not going to get up there and sugarcoat and not really say these things. Like, yes, we understand some people come out to shows to have a good time, and some people listen to have a good time. They don't want to have those negative emotions, but we want to face them, not to point them out and make people feel bad about them, but because we want to just be better each day. And that's how it starts. Unfortunately, it's the hardest part of facing these things, but that's why we want to, every time you listen to this, we want you to imagine that we're just pointing a finger at you and be like, yes, you can overcome it. Like you have it. Like it's in you. You may have to dig deeper than you want to, but it's in you to overcome it. And that's all we hope for when people listen to stuff like this. Not to think negatively on the world and like, wow, the world is a terrible place, but more like it does suck, but we have enough to overcome it. That's one of the main things we want people to take away from this album.
Man, I don't know what it is, but here in the last couple of weeks, I keep seeing this thing of just multiple people saying, if you want it, go get it. And I'm like, every time that I get down on my podcast, like, I wish I was booming. And I'm very, very thankful for the 1,000 subscribers that I've got on YouTube. I'm very, very thankful for each person that subscribes to me. But for some reason, man, I keep seeing that some type of saying to that effect. I'm going, wait a second, man. Maybe that's just the universe saying to tell me, like, stop. Just keep fucking tracking. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And, it's to the point where, I am an optimistic person, but at the same time, I am recognizing that, in a sense, failure barely exists. Failure only really exists if you fully quit on yourself. That's the only time when it's like, yeah, I failed. But even then, I won't even take that because there's no rule that doesn't say that you can't start again.
Sure.
You just keep going. You keep going. Try again.
Yeah. I mean, look at all these sports players. I mean, and all these people who want to be doctors and stuff. I mean, they aren't perfect. Trust me. They started somewhere.
And just like you said, it's I get it. When you're trying to create stuff, you're like, it's gonna boom. But not even many people can say they have the whole 1,000 subscribers, man. That alone is like, that's huge. So
I'm very blessed, and I don't take that for granted. That's for sure. That is for sure. So we're going to throw differences out the window for a little bit on these next couple of questions. It's going to be slowly about you, my friend.
All right.
But if you could write an album equivalent to your favorite band's album, which album would that be, Sean?
Oh, this is a tricky one. I'm really obscure. Okay. Honestly, oh man. Okay. Honestly, it would realistically, because of the genre, I would totally mimic the Color Morale's No Hope. I would totally mimic that. That era was insane. But on a grander scale, oh, give me Breaking Benjamin Phobia. I would in a heartbeat. Favorite album of all time, favorite band of all time. I would do that in a heartbeat. Same voice and everything. I would just mimic his voice and everything. It's crazy.
All right, what's been your most memorable show that the band has been a part of that you still cannot believe that you guys were? Or has that happened yet?
I don't know. It's there's a lot of shows that are incredible. I would say like one of our first, maybe one of the first times we headlined like Chain Reaction or something like that. Because here for LA, Chain Reaction, the venue in Anaheim is, it's a big deal in that whole hardcore. It's a big deal. So being like, oh, we get to headline it. Okay, cool. And then we had like an actual great turnout, which is cool. It's like, okay, yes, they picked a great lineup of other bands to get people's fans. So shout out to them. But at that point, it's still early on to do that and people to like on the first song, people are like singing the words back to me. I was like, okay, this is chills. So I would say like that. That's one of my favorite shows, probably.
If you could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be and what show would it be, my man?
Oh man. I would, you know what? Again, this will go to Breaking Benjamin, but just to be different, because I am 100% serious while joking, I would be a tambourine player in the Chariot, just because how crazy they go. I wouldn't want to, like, I would take a guitar too, I would play that too, but I would just want to be a tambourine player just to show like how insane the music is while still just like going crazy with that. I would do that. The Chariot, and I'll be the tambourine player. I'll just get a new instrument. I'll do that.
All right, Sean, how can folks stay in touch with Differences by the family portrait that's going to be released on August 26th, my friend? How can they do that?
Check out all our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on those socials, we have a link tree. Click it. You can go to our merch site where everything's available pre-order right now. The album comes out August 26th, and we're trying our best that if you order a shirt or anything, any clothing item, you'll get it on that date. We'll try our best to have that for people. Everything's up for pre-order. Check out the merch spread. Each single we released so far is dropped same day the music video drops. It's dropped on all music sites and platforms where you get music, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
I'm going to have all these links in this podcast down here. So that way, when it goes to YouTube, everybody can go click the links and it's right there. You cannot say, I don't know where to go get this.
Right.
And it's right here. Sean, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Of course. Of course. What's up, everybody? This is Sean, the frontman from Differences, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here. Your number one source right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out, check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. And please go out and subscribe to that YouTube link if you like what I do. And I hope you guys and gals do. Also, please check out the band Differences. They will release their album entitled The Family Portrait independently on August 26th. I'm telling you right now, go check these guys out because they're a show away of knocking it out of the ballpark. And when they do, it's going to be big. So, Sean, my man, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck.
Bye. Appreciate it, Doug.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.